Want to sell more books without spending a dime on ads? Then you need to pay attention to YouTube. It's not just for vloggers anymore. It's one of the smartest ways authors can build trust, reach new readers, and boost long-term book sales. Today I'm sitting down with award-winning author and digital strategist Sylvia Hubbard. With over 50 titles to her name and decades of experience in self-publishing, she's built a loyal fan base while helping authors grow their platforms a smart way. Join us in a candid conversation about my latest book, YouTube for Authors. Let's get on into it.
Hello, I'm Sylvia Hubbard, and I am an author and longtime fan of Dale L. Roberts, plus I'm founder of Motown Writers Network, and I am here to interview him. We've been doing his entire series, and this one, and I always say this one is going to be the most pivotal one, because every time I get to the next book in the series, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I got to do this. Oh my gosh. And it's not even feeling overwhelming, but this has just been a whirlwind of, it's like I'm taking a master class, and I get the pleasure of just being by myself.
Well, I enjoy the compliments for sure. You can go ahead and keep them coming. We can just skip the rest of this interview if you do it this way.
So today we're going to be talking about YouTube for authors, and I have got all my notes, and I started collecting them on my Kindle Scribe so I can keep up with all the questions I've asked you, so I can go back and do it, because it's just like, man, don't get me started. But this one, I would say, would make you just throw it up in the air, scream, because you're like literally taking somebody's hand and walking them through the process. And when I say just template, chapter 5, 6, 7 alone, if you just template like everything, the steps that you have, that was just really powerful. But I know I'm jumping ahead, and I'm getting over. So let's just jump into it. And I think, why is it important for authors to capture or at least become familiar with using YouTube?
2.1 billion active users in 2024 alone. And I believe I actually even quoted that inside the book. 2.1 billion with a B. That's just incredible. Think about the amount of people that are there. And there's something for everybody on YouTube. I've been on this platform active as a YouTuber for the last 9 years and have built numerous channels and have monetized in so many ways that, to me, I think it would just, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell people the opportunity that lies over here. Now, there are some people that will look at this and go, why YouTube versus X or Facebook or Instagram? I'm not saying YouTube is any better than those platforms. Those platforms have their merit. They have their value. I just know how YouTube functions, and I know the best, most practical steps to get you from starting a YouTube channel to earning money out the gate. Because that, to me, one of the most frustrating parts, and I think you can relate to this, is as an indie author, sometimes book sales don't treat you well. There's gonna be ebbs and flows, and during that ebbing time, you need to have some type of like a safety net. And to me, YouTube can do that, because if you've built some assets over on YouTube, it's first of all going to expose you to your audience. Hey, here's an author that likes your type of niche. And then it starts to deliver value to that audience, therefore them wanting to come back, buy your books, and interact with you in every capacity possible. So to me, YouTube is just one of the most dead simple ways for authors to monetize their brand beyond just the books, but also having the books be part of that monetization through YouTube as well.
Right. And I love that term is dead simple, because that's literally what this book just does. It just knocks everything you had to say about it. Just says, you know what? This is just simple to do. So what are the 3 myths preventing authors from starting? What are your top 3 myths that you just know, like, this is why I don't want to do it? Like, what?
The first one would be time. Time is probably one of the biggest myths. A lot of people believe that they need to pour hours into it. Now, if you're doing it at the level that I'm doing, yeah, expect to go ahead and pour hours upon hours.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need to do it exactly as I've done, because I've built some channels that I have one that I call it my secret channel. The secret channel, the videos are garbage. But it's the style that people come to expect in that specific niche, that specific genre, and it draws in the viewers that I want to. But I try to tell people, like, just keep it simple. One of my mentors in this business and a former coach of mine, Daryl Eves. Daryl is actually pretty big in the YouTube space. He founded Vid Summit, which is a annual conference for video creators, especially in the YouTube space. He's also been a person who's helped Mr. Beast grow his channel. So Daryl was really big in influencing me. And one of the things I learned early on was that when he had started on YouTube back in the early days, he only had 16 minutes. I didn't say 60, not 60, 16. It's the most random number, but he said that was all he would ever devote time to doing videos for YouTube. So think about the amount of time that you truly have. And if you say, Dale, I've got 15 minutes, you can definitely make that work. It is really something that's just dead simple. So time is one of the biggest things. They say, oh, I don't have the time to do that. You really don't need that much time. All it is just a case of effort and quality. And I don't mean quality like you don't need to have 4K video, you don't need to have this expensive microphone, but quality as in the message that you're delivering. Because if you're just showing up, you're like, hey, everybody, so I guess I wrote this book. No one's going to care. But if you come in here going, oh man, so I checked out this sci-fi horror movie, it is going to blow your mind. Make sure you stick around to the very end. Oh, by the way, I just happen to be an author of sci-fi horror books, blah, 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 yakety schmackety. So you see how smooth that was. So time is the one thing. The other thing is some people believe that they need to have a certain set of skills to do this. Nope, you don't. In fact, when I first started, Sylvia, the first videos I put out were horrible. I mean, it was bad. This was before I think you discovered me. This was really bad. Like if you go back and watch it, you go, oh my gosh, every mistake I could have made, I made it. But the big takeaway from this was I showed up. And most importantly, I didn't just show up. I also paid attention to what videos were performing. And I also tried to theorize why were they performing a certain way? Why was this performing better than this one? And so then I would start to figure out, okay, if this worked, let me double down on this. And you just continue to do a lot of trial and error and come back to it. You don't have to have these super skills. You don't need to have anything other than just a willingness to say, you know what, let's make this work. If you've got an iPhone or an Android phone with a camera on it, guess what? You're ready to rock. Like literally that's all you need. And that brings me to my next thing. 3, gear. A lot of people think they need to have a bunch of expensive equipment. If you watched enough of my videos, you're probably saying to yourself, Dale, oh my gosh, your DSLR cameras are amazing. I love your microphone. I love your sound. I love the audio. I love the LEDs, things like that. But I can't possibly afford that. Guess what? I built all of this over 9 years. I didn't buy this stuff all at once. I just reinvested what I earned from YouTube back into the equipment. So that way it started to scale and grow. But I'm going to tell you that I've seen a number of authors on YouTube that are absolutely crushing it with just a simple camera and a microphone. Nothing fancy. You don't need to be fancy. And I can understand if you want to be fancy. You're like, oh, again, I really want to, make the best, professional image and make a great first impression. Guess what? The best first impression is, again, come back to the quality message that you're delivering. If you're delivering the right quality message to the right audience, you're going to win big. So those were my 3 items. It's typically time, gear, skill set. Those 3 things are almost always what holds a lot of authors back from doing it.
Right. Because I do know, for example, one author who has degrees in security, cyber works, and she's a software designer, and she has a book out. Well, she's coming out with a book, and she says her number one reason is she doesn't get on YouTube because her hair is never done. And I was like, do you know how important right now cybersecurity is in small companies? I was like, you could be making a killing just getting there for 3 minutes and just saying something that it would just blow up. And she's like, well, but my hair isn't done. And I'm like, no one expects a developer to really look good anyway. So
no, No, in fact, actually, when I'm thinking about cybersecurity, how you look is the last thing on my mind. I'm literally going to be paying attention to everything but your hair. And I think that that probably comes down to confidence for that individual, and I don't want to invalidate how they feel. So what it's going to take is probably figure out what.
It's fine. She my friend. It's okay.
That's good. So what I would say is, first of all, one, if your hair's that bad, well, do it up before you got to do it. If that requires too much work, go faceless. I'm going to tell you, you're going to capture a lot more attention and build a lot more trust when they can see the whites of your eyes, especially when it comes to cybersecurity. If they could be able to trust and see who you are. But
Right.
faceless could probably be the way that you could go. You could always just do a screen recording and then just do the voiceover work. So that way it takes that pressure off of you from being
Right.
on camera and having to have your hair done up. It's one of those instances that if you don't want to do it, you're going to find an excuse. So to me, I think if you really truly want to do it, then commit yourself to it and say, okay, hair, I just don't like this hair. Okay, great. If you don't feel like the hair's matching up, what can you do instead? That still requires you showing up in some capacity, being present.
love that.
So that way
Yes.
you're more accessible. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you this, that I've been doing this for 9 years and I get the occasional ball joke. Guess what? It rolls right off of me. I just don't
Hair
care
doesn't matter.
because it does not matter to me, and it should not matter to your viewers. And if it does matter to them, if they're knocking you on your hairdo, block them. Goodbye. See ya. Out of here. I don't want trolls in my community. You're done. That's a simple process right there. And yeah, so to your friend,
was
don't give up.
definitely my
Give it a
next
shot.
That was definitely how do you get over that fear? And I love that we discussed that little tiny thing of going faceless, and then but I think that gradually can move you into being on camera. I think like you just start. I think that's just the message is just start and go from there. So can I also go ahead.
While we're still talking about faceless, it's so funny that there was a trend for a number of years where there were a lot of faceless YouTubers outside of the author niche, that is. And a lot of them were faceless for a number of years. And so it built up a lot of intrigue and curiosity. So when these YouTubers would do a face reveal, people would lose their minds. So there's always a benefit to running faceless for a number of years, because when you finally do appear, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, that's what she looked like? She was worried about her hair? Are you kidding me? Yeah, so there is a plus to doing faceless, but that is a long-term play. So I wouldn't say that's going to be something that's going to apply to everybody. But if it gets your feet wet, it gets you taking action and getting it to where you're having progress, then that's great.
Right.
That means you're on the right track for sure.
Okay, so what is and I'm doing what I'm telling the question not to do. How do authors overthink this process? And what are steps to stop that? Because yes, the fear of getting on camera, yes, the fear of just talking about what I have to talk about, then it's the getting the views, then oh my God, what if no one even comments? What about engagement? What are some of the things we just overthink, and then how to stop those things?
I think a lot of times people overthink it in the same way they do writing a book. There are a lot of instances where some people will get in their own way. They'll go and do 50 passes on their edits and go, it's still not right. It's still not right. YouTube doesn't need to be that perfect. It does not need to be polished. It doesn't need to be super in-depth. And when it comes to overthinking, I think the other thing is a lot of people say, okay, what are the types of videos I can do for my audience? Okay, there we go. Let's go and focus on actually the most important aspect of that sentence, your audience. Who is your audience? What are their expectations? What is going to drive them or compel them to watch your videos on a regular basis? Because that's what you want them to do. You want them to watch one video and then another one and another one and another one. So if you start to think about what your audience wants most, that is going to solve a lot of the overthinking. Here's a really simple way to do this. And I learned this one from Daryl. Big shout out back to Daryl Eves through his channel Jumpstart program. And one of the things was to do a little bit of recon before you ever do a single video. And what I mean is you're going to open up a brand new YouTube account. Brand new. All right. But on this YouTube account, you're going to use it for very specific purposes. And you log out anytime that you're done using it. So what you'll do is set up this YouTube account. You'll go onto youtube.com and you're going to search up the niche that you want to serve, the audience that you want to serve. Think about specific keywords that would drive them to find your videos. And then what you're going to do is, as soon as you pull up that search, find a video and don't think about it too much. Click watch it. And with that specific video, you want to make sure that it's been recent and it also has a decent amount of views. And when I mean decent, thousands to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Sit down, watch that whole video all the way through. Unless it's trash, you could go ahead and bounce out. As soon as you're done watching that video, if it was good, like it, obviously. If you enjoyed it, hit a comment. If you think that they've got more content that you might want to consider, hit subscribe. Your next step, don't do anything else, is look on the right-hand side. On the right-hand side, when you're watching the video, you're going to see recommended videos, videos that are similar to that specific video you just finished watching. I want you to pick the next video that fits right in alignment with the other one. I mean, exact matching. And you're going to watch that through. Rinse and repeat. You're just going to be a consumer for a little bit. And you're going to do this over, I would say, the course of a couple weeks, if not a couple months. If not, you can even go back to this account and use it for years. And what you're going to do, anytime you log back in, YouTube is now going to present you on a silver platter the videos that resonate with your audience. And that right there is going to grease your creative wheels. You're not going to steal the ideas. You're going to adapt the ideas. Okay, let me see which of these things could work in for my specific concept, for my video that I can go ahead and produce. How can I produce something similar to this, but in my own voice, and something that delivers additional quality? So that way my viewing audience comes and sees me. So that right there is a big game changer, because it essentially is going to tell you exactly what your audience is looking for. And anytime that you're running out of ideas, go log back into that YouTube account, open it back up, grease your creative wheels, because as soon as you go into that homepage, guess what they're going to serve you? More of those types of videos. Pretty cool, right, Sylvia?
That is. That's like that's a template. Like literally, like, okay, that's how I do it. Because yeah, you get the question, you get to know what you need to talk about. You get to know about what engagement you should be doing with your audience. And you get to see kind of like where this should go. What is the future of this topic, and how can I benefit plus make it better? That literally just covers before, present, and after of what you should be doing on YouTube. And that simple, excellent. That should be a soundbite. Just it should be just that one part is just wow. Like, yes. So is scripting important for when you are doing your videos?
Ooh, that's going to depend largely on the content creator, because this, I mean, gosh, let's bring it back to pantsers and plotters. You're familiar with pantsers and plotters, right? Pantsers are the types of writers that will write by the seat of their pants. Stephen King's like that. He'll just sit down and be like, I got a general idea, I'm just going to keep writing until I'm done. Then there's the plotters. They're the ones that will plot out and outline every last element. So think about that same skill set, but now you're going to apply it to video. Okay, there are pantsers. There are people that can turn on a video camera and just go. They're like, boom, I know what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot that. For those of you that are good at that, do it. Keep doing it. I'm pretty good at it. I'm decent. I've done it enough times. But I'm a little bit of a plotter. I like to plot things out. So from time to time, when I really want to dial in the quality of my video, I will fully script that thing from beginning to end with a little bit of wiggle room, because I like to improv every now and then, or I'll think of something off the top of my head. But the cool thing is, with my script, I feed that over into a teleprompter app that I have on my iPhone 7. Yeah, my iPhone 7 still serves a pretty good purpose, and that is because it uses the script, and it will feed it over on this apparatus that I have over my DSLR. And then all I have is this little remote, that I'll go ahead and I'll read and I'll cue it up as I go along. There are some friends of mine, though, for instance, Keith Wheeler of Keith Wheeler Books, he will typically take like a handwritten outline and he'll place it near his camera. So all he has to do is when he wants to cover a particular point, he will have that on the outline, look over, boom, and he goes right into his very next thing.
That's what I
Sometimes.
do.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. There's no wrong way of doing things. What I would say is find the methodology that saves you the most time. For me, when I know I don't feel like video editing can be very in-depth, especially for me. When I don't feel like doing that, I'll fully script a video. Because by fully scripting it, I know I don't need to cut a lot of stuff. I'll cut a couple of flubs or mistakes. But when I'm doing, like, let's say improv, every now and then maybe I'm running off the rails or I'm talking about something completely different or something like that. That's going to require more editing time because I got to go in and finesse it a bit more, where I'm like, that sentence wasn't good. Let me clip this out and I'm going to put this together. Let me clip this out and put this together. So you have to figure out what it is your voice is. And this is something I learned from Roberto Blake, wonderful YouTuber. Go follow him. Love me some Roberto. But one of the things he encourages people is make 100 crappy videos. Now,
I like
this
that.
is not him telling you that you should go out and just make nothing but garbage videos, all right? But what he's telling you is if you work on your craft of becoming a video creator and you've put out 100 videos and you've learned as you've gone, each one of those videos is going to improve in due time. And also you're going to find out certain systems and processes that work for you and some that work against you. And with that being said, that means, do I outline? Do I go ahead and plot it out? Do I script it out? Find out those things. I'm going to tell you, when I did my first 100 videos, I found out real quick exactly what was most efficient for me. So that way I was putting out a lot more quality videos with less time. Because at the end of the day, Sylvia, I'm an author. I want to function more as an author than a video creator. Video creator is like the 40%. Author is 60%. I don't want to take away from that 60% since I'm pouring a lot of time into video creator. Now, keep in mind, folks, you do not have to look at your relationship with YouTube the same way I do. I love YouTube. I spend probably a lot more time on it than some people do. You do not have to spend that much time as I do with it. You could probably even have it 10% of the time, 1% of the time. Just showing up is the most important thing.
That is awesome. And I just had to put a note in because I'm going to ask you something else, but I want to put it at the end. So what are some of, well, how important is scheduling as well? That's the next step, is scheduling. Because like we just talked about time, and yes, I don't want to be a full YouTuber, but I want it to be productive for me without taking away from my writing, publishing, marketing, and all the other things that I do. So how important is scheduling when you're doing this?
Boy, we can tackle scheduling from a couple of different aspects. One part would be, of course, production flow is, scheduling that time out. If you want to make it work, you're going to need to sock away X amount of minutes or hours per week that you can devote to that, but be realistic with what your schedule can allow. Then also there is the idea of scheduling and publishing your videos through YouTube. I would highly recommend, if you get the opportunity, you're doing videos, one of the best ways to do this business is batch record. When I mean batch record, it means I've got 3 to 4 good solid video concepts that I'm going to record all at one time. So that way I record it all, then I edit it all, and then I go ahead and schedule them out. So that way what it does is, let's say I do 3 to 4 videos, I'll book those out for the next 3 to 4 weeks, one per week. Then it buys me time that I can go ahead and produce more, or I work on other aspects of my business. Now, as far as when you release those, it varies. It varies. What you're going to need to do for new YouTubers, you really won't know until you know. You're going to need to publish quite a few videos before YouTube will come back and tell you, here's when your audience is showing up the most. So you'll see some of the sweet spots when you look underneath analytics in the audience tab. In the audience tab, you scroll down, there's going to be the full list of the week and all the hours available, and it'll show you how active each one of them are. And then you can be able to find a sweet spot. I usually try to load up my video just before the hottest spot. of when all of my audience is going to be on YouTube. And I try to find that because that means if they're showing up, let's say Mondays at 1 to 4, I think that actually is a number. Mondays at 1 to 4, I'm going to launch that at 12:15 because I know that 45 minutes prior to that, it's going to pop up in people's feeds. If they're showing up at 1 o'clock, guess who's going to show up at the top? Me. I'm going to show up at the top of their subscriptions feed. I'm going to show up on their homepage. So I try to find that. But you won't be able to find that initially. So what I would say is just launch the video. Launch the video and get it going. Don't worry too much about the day if you can. And one thing I would recommend is don't launch more than one video at a time. I see some channels, and bless their hearts, I mean that in the most nicest way possible. They mean well, but you don't want to nuke your audience with 12 notifications of your latest videos. Yeah. It's better that you drip feed that out. If you've got 12 videos, that's 12 weeks of content. Put one video a week over the next 12 weeks, and guess what? Your audience is going to appreciate it more, as opposed to, well, here's 12 videos. Have fun watching all of them. Guess what's going to happen? Either A, they're going to ignore it. B, they might unsubscribe because you just blew up their notifications feed with 12 videos. Or C, in some instances, they'll just put it on a watch later list. And guess what happens to the watch later list? It's not usually revisited. I've got a watch later list, and I'm telling you, I got a video from like Dan Brock from like 2017. And love me some Dan, but I haven't watched it yet. It's one of those instances. So just keep those things in mind. You're cracking up because you know I'm right.
I don't even want to talk about mine.
Yeah.
I got 15 out the way tonight. Wow. Out of the 3,000 or something. I was just like, oh God.
Yeah.
So we just discussed analytics, and I don't want to like make people brains drip out of their ears, but like how important is that? Because that opens up another can. People are like, I'm a writer, not a mathematician. I don't even want to think about analytics. So how important it is to, and what are they, like beginners, what are they hone in on? What is they should be looking at first? Like, okay, I need to look at this, and this, and then I can come back later and see about this. So
the very first thing I want to say is views alone are not an indicator of success. Views alone are not an indicator of success. I will tell you a number of small YouTube channels that bring in less than 100 views, but they're pulling in thousands of dollars in revenue because of how they're leveraging their exposure through the YouTube platform. So that's usually where a lot of people go, oh, my video did terrible. It only got 100 views. This sucks. Like, no, like that's 100 more than zero. And at least you're heading in the right direction.
Right.
Now, as far as analytics, this is where you're going to want to pay attention to it, because what it's doing is it's providing you feedback with how you are doing. Sure, you can look at views and see, oh yeah, I got 10,000 views on this video. But if people only watched for 5 seconds and bounced, that 10,000 views means jack squat. You want people to watch. Here is one of my favorite quotes I love to share, and I'm going to paraphrase it from my good friend and YouTube expert, Dan Courier. Dan had once said that YouTube pays us for being professional time wasters. And I'm like, I felt slightly insulted, but I'm like, but he's right. They literally, YouTube, as long as you are keeping your viewing audience watching for longer periods of time, YouTube loves you. So that's going to be the key, is how can I not just drive views and serve my audience? How can I get them to watch for longer periods of time? Because when you get them to watch longer, YouTube is going to trust you more, and they're going to serve your video out to more of your ideal audience, bringing in even more views. It's all about proof of concept. And if they know that you can deliver the goods, they're going to go ahead and continue to serve people to you time and again, and especially if you have evergreen content. So the analytics are going to be very overwhelming. I won't make any, I'm not going to even put that lightly, because as soon as you open analytics, they're like, what's going on here?
Right.
So what I would recommend is
back.
Focus on a video by video basis. Focus on how did you do for views? That's definitely going to be one. But also, How long are they watching? Where are they dropping off? Guess what? When you get your reports on each one of your videos, you're going to see a graph and the video pane above it. And it'll show you the graph of when people are staying and when people are leaving.
Right.
Pay attention to that, because when you see a huge drop, go and watch that portion of your video. Chances are very likely you said something that made them turned off, made them disengaged, made them say, I'm going to watch this later. I'll put this on my watch later list. You like that callback? So that is what you really want to focus on, is views, watch time duration on each one of the videos. And the next thing is going to be, how effective are your title and your thumbnail? The title and thumbnail will make or break the success of your campaign. I could go into a lot of those analytics, but all I want to say instead, to make things simple so that way you're not overwhelmed, is the title and thumbnail are something I work on before I ever hit record. I want to think about, how am I serving my audience? How are they discovering it? And what is the way to entice them, to make them say, you know what, this video is important. I need to stop everything I'm doing right now. I need to watch it right away. I'm not going to put this on a watch later. So when you can find a good balance of what that title is going to be and that thumbnail, it's magic. And think about it from the aspect as an author. Like when you are doing your title for your book and your cover design, you're probably putting a lot of thought and a lot of, you're putting a lot of marketing into place because you want to sell more books. It's the same way over on YouTube, in that you need to get that title and you need to get that thumbnail dialed in. Now, here's the really cool thing. Another Dan friend of mine, I got a lot of friends named Dan Norton, he runs a channel along with Pat Flynn called Deep Pocket Monster. And he'd done a case study a number of years ago where there was a video. It was a hero video. Now, hero videos are typically when you put all of your heart into it. You put a lot of hours into it. You're like, this is going to be the video that takes off. Well, they put a lot of time and effort into it and finances, and it flopped big time. It was a punch to the gut to them because they were like, this video's awesome. So what Dan did was he started testing different thumbnails and different titles until finally, after I think it was 3 or 4 different iterations, boom. For whatever reason, YouTube's algorithm was like, oh, I know where this goes. And it served it to the right audience, and the video became viral. It was crazy. Same video that was attracting crickets was blowing up and becoming viral and being served as trending on YouTube. That right there shows you the power of the title and the thumbnail. So if you find a video is dragging, test that out. I would say start with a thumbnail, because usually everybody gets the titles pretty right. It's the thumbnails that typically people get wrong. Work on that, fix it, and make it to where it's more clear. Now, I could dive into how thumbnails should probably be, but we were talking about analytics, and I don't want to go too far into the weeds.
Right. Right. Okay. So, I have so many questions, and I'm trying. Okay. Let's get to the salesy. So when doing your videos, and this is where I hear a lot of complaints, is when does it feel like you're becoming salesy, or sounding like a old car salesman kind of thing, or getting annoying? How do you mix that up with that? And you gave a really good example of, okay, the horror movies, and then, hey, I came up with a horror book. But like some of the authors are just worried about just being annoying. And when is it talking about too much?
Right. And I have a whole section in the book where I talk about being salesy, because I hear that a lot, where some people say, I don't want to be salesy. Guess what? You got into a business where you have to sell things. So you're going to have to sell. But I mean, I think what a lot of people are afraid of is, do I have to show up to YouTube and go, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book? No, please don't. Please don't. In fact, I say this a lot to people, and I mean it with love. Book trailers are fantastic. They're great for your ego. And if you're running paid promotions, they can work really fantastic. But as far as book trailers and their effectiveness on YouTube, it just doesn't happen, because there's not too many people that are going to go over to your YouTube channel and find any utility in what you're providing them. They're going to be like, oh, that was a great trailer. Okay, awesome. That's typically what most people are doing on YouTube. They're not thinking, oh, I just watched this. Let me go and buy this book. It's not often that happens. I know there are some exceptions. There's going to be some people, I sold 2 books when I put out my book trailer. Yeah, you did, but how much work and how much finances went into that specific book trailer?
Right.
So you have to think about it is, how can I serve my audience in the best way possible? So there is a couple of things. And by the way, when you go into this book, you're going to see the exact blueprint I'm going to be using to build my own sci-fi horror YouTube channel. I've already reserved the name for it and everything. So all set for that.
I can't
But
wait.
you see the full blueprint. And I'm in the midst of, I've got 12 videos I've already got planned. I've got titles. I've got the descriptions already laid out. I've got the thumbnail designs ready to rock and roll. And now I'm scripting. So one of the very first ones was I'm doing a piece that's comparing The Mist, which is the Stephen King novella, with the movie as well as the TV series. And I wrote an entire script on it and I'm going to produce a video. Another one that's similar along that lines, I just finished reading the novella called Who Goes There? Now, not many people realize what Who Goes There is, but they'll know it by the movie John Carpenter's The Thing. And The Thing is just an amazing sci-fi horror piece. I watched it again last night after reading it, and it does not get old. It's fantastic. So I'm building something like that. So I think about it from this aspect, okay? When someone shows up and I'm starting to do this comparison, first of all, I lead with the book first. I'm not talking about the movie and the series. That's just secondary to the message because I'm trying to reach readers. I'm not trying to reach movie viewers. I'm trying to reach readers who are like, oh yeah, I watched that, The Dark Tower, and I read the book, and they're 2 different things. Let me see what this clown's got to say. And within that specific video, I'm going to try to find some way that I can bring out that I'm a sci-fi horror author. That, I can either do a humble brag of some sort. So, for instance, I could probably be like, in Who Goes There, one of the tropes that they use, I also utilized in my own series called Infestate. And here, this is how it worked. In mine, this is how it worked. You noticed? I didn't have to sell the book. I just talked about this is how I employed this in my own writing, and this is why I appreciate something like this. Or in an instance like, I didn't like this trope. I wish they would have used this trope from my writing here because I think it would have made it so much better. So there's the one way you can just kind of mention it indirectly.
Yeah.
Or after you've delivered value, let's just say you're just smoking on all cylinders. I've already compared. I've talked about the novella for The Mist. I've talked about the TV series for The Mist. And I'm getting ready to go in to talk about the movie, which is the juiciest part. Everybody wants to talk about the movie because the movie was pretty good compared to the novella. That's when I go into it and I go, oh, hey, by the way, I'm a sci-fi horror author. If you're ever interested in checking out more books kind of like this, you want to go over and check it out over at xyz.com. I think you're going to love it. That's all I'm going to say about it. Let's get on over into the movie review. Boom. And we've just slipped it in there. So you have to creatively think about it. What I don't want you to do as an author, and I see this happen so often, is it is not even half a minute to a minute into a video and you're beating people up to buy your latest book. Shut up. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to get that salesy stuff. And I've seen some people that have done that, and some larger author tubers that have gotten away with it because, well, they've got a larger audience. They can do that. But for those that are breaking into the YouTube platform, they need to kind of walk that back just a little bit, because if you're leading with what's in it for you, guess what they're going to do? They're going to swipe and move on to the next thing. They want to know what's in it for them, not what's in it for you. Because when you're saying, buy my book, or even something as simple as get a free download of my book, no. You're still asking for yourself. So think about delivering the value first. Now, if for some reason you go, Dale, I'm going to ignore you. In my first minute to 2 minutes, I'm going to tell people about my book. Go ahead, but don't be surprised. I want you to go back and look inside your video reports, inside the analytics, and see what the retention's like. I promise you that when you look at that specific segment where you're being very, very self-centered and trying to be pushy and push that sales, I bet you're going to see a huge drop and a bump right after it's done. The only reason why I say this is because I've made those mistakes. I've learned the hard way that there are some people that are just like, no, I don't want to see your flashy bumper intro. I just want you to get to the point. And that's the thing. You got to get to the point. You're not putting together a special for ABC or Netflix. So you don't need to have a flashy intro, and you don't need to be coming in here beating people up. Give them a couple of minutes. Give them enough value that when you do pitch that book, it's the next like actionable step. They think, oh, well, of course, I'm going to go buy this book. I just watched this awesome video, and this dude is as cool as his whole breakdown of The Mist and the novella and the TV series. Then I want to read his stuff. Deliver that value, and you won't ever have to sound salesy. All you got to do is just lead with the value, and the rest will fall in place.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. So can you simplify gathering or getting actual engagement for those videos? Like, what do you have to put in there as you're going along to prompt people to, and I'm not saying manipulate, but just prompt people to say, hey, I want to make a comment about that. I want to do that because I think that's another like big complaint that a lot of them had was like, I can't, people do the thumbs up or, you'll see the watch time, but look at your comments and it's like crickets. Like, I know I said something to make you say something, but how can you get people to just hype on something?
It's tough to start at first, but as soon as you get it going, momentum will fall in your favor. Up until about a year or 2 years ago, I was able to keep up with all my comments. Now I can barely keep up with them. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That means engagement. But I think initially when you break into YouTube, value every single comment like it's gold, because it is. Because if you can have a conversation or a dialogue with that viewer that's meaningful and progresses everything forward in the conversation, whatever the video was about, then that's great. What I try to encourage people is when you are first starting, get the last word. Get the last word if you can. Someone says, oh, I love this video and blah, blah, blah. Your very next question is to be, oh, what did you like most about this video? Was there something that you probably could suggest that I could do for future videos? Whatever that question might be, you can always just try to get it going. Finish out with a question. If they don't answer it, that's totally fine. But guess what? You've at least showed that you care about what they have to offer. What the other thing is, too, is in your video, dead simple. Ask people. They will answer. And especially if it's a good, juicy question, be like, what are your thoughts about AI writing books? Oh, my Lord, be ready, because you're going to see a lot of comments that are going to light it up. Be like, what are your thoughts? Would you use AI with your writing? Oh, they will come. Now, obviously, if you're not doing a video about AI and writing, you don't want to use that as your prompt. Think about prompts that are going to be relevant to the particular video topic, so that way the people are going to share their opinion. Think about something that will stir a strong emotion in somebody. What is that strong emotion? It doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be positive. Just think about a strong emotion that would compel them to say, oh, I have to answer this. It's almost like trying to suppress a cough. You're like, and the more you try to suppress it, you start to feel pain. Like, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and cough and get it out. That's what you want to do, is you want to get so infectious that people are going, oh, I have to comment. I have to say something about this. And you have to be very direct about it. Now, you brought up something, and I thought it was very interesting. We should go ahead and talk about that call to action. So, you often will see some YouTubers that go, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, invite your friend on over, play some checkers with them. And they're giving so many things that you're confusing the viewers. If you give too many options to your viewers, they're probably not going to do any of them. Find one good, solid call to action. If you want more likes on your video, say, hey, if you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you left a like on it. I appreciate you. Something as simple as that. So it's not having to overthink some of these things. It's just trying to, again, all about value and leading with that the best way you can going forward.
And I've seen in some of those calls to actions where they make it sound like it's no big deal, or they kind of downgrade it. Like, do what you want to do. And just make it feel like, okay, well, my like don't even matter. Like, I feel valued, and I don't even want to watch this video anymore, but I just want to know what you're going to say. So it goes from one extreme, I think, to the other. And I think, we need to learn more about the happy middle, and especially about call to actions, because even in book promotion, they don't talk about that enough. And that's a whole nother subject of just talking about that. But I think more authors should start knowing what a CTA is. I'm using the acronym because a lot of people will look at that and they'll just keep reading. Like, you didn't even know what that was. You just kept going
Just went
past
right by it. Just
And then
blew
just like,
right by it.
ask a question.
For sure,
Okay,
for
so,
sure. And just try to pick that one thing and don't try to do all those things. And if comments mean the world to you and you want to get more comments, ask for comments. If you want more subscribers, ask for subscribers. But try to avoid saying it all at once, because a lot of instances, viewers on YouTube are already programmed. They hear that so often. Comment, like, subscribe. Guess what? You're wasting your breath. They know that they can subscribe. They know they can leave a comment. They know they can go ahead and put a thumbs up. Pick one of them. Make it your mission to kind of do that. Well, let's say your mission is to sell more books. Maybe forget about doing the comments thing and the likes thing and the subscribes thing. Focus on the book. Make that one call to action count. So that way, when that video launches, you will know what it's accomplishing. Is it getting more subscribers? Is it getting you more book sales? Is it getting you more likes? Is it getting you more engagement?
Yeah.
If you go and split too many things, guess what? You won't know which one of those things actually works.
Right. Right. Oh, that was great. Okay, so the out of the box kind of things that authors are not paying attention to, kind of like you were mentioning playlists, YouTube tools, using keywords, things that authors are not using that are really simple to just snatch, put in, and use for the video that could make that video help them, do more. So what are they not using? What are the tools what are the tools that they are not using that are just simple, like playlists, the YouTube tools, the keywords, things that authors are not using that are really simple to just, hey, do it this when you finish the video, add those tags or make sure you've checked this box, things that they aren't using. So what are those things are? Like, some of them. I know it's a whole bunch of them because I was like, I had to run and get like an extra notebook. I was away from my notepad and I was like, oh my God, I never thought about that. But yeah, what are like other tools they are not using, or at least a couple of tools they are really not focusing on in order to bring out more for their video?
Well, I would say the very first thing when you say tools, I automatically think about software like TubeBuddy, vidIQ, and Morning Fame, which will help you out with keyword research and niche research, and it'll help you optimize your videos. And those tools are great for beginners, I'm going to say. But as soon as you've been in this business for as long as I have and been practicing, sometimes those tools just kind of get in the way. I already know some of the systems and processes that I want to have. All three of those, by the way, they're available. They have like a free plan of some sort. Give them a shot. Try it out if you're new to YouTube. Those would be really good. But as far as the stuff that doesn't cost money that's within inside your dashboard, I'm going to recommend like a few off the top of my head. Very first thing is there's an inspiration tab. That's pretty new. I'd say it came out within the last year or so. And what inspiration tab does is YouTube shows you similar videos that are performing in your niche within the keywords you've used, and it'll grease your creative wheels. And then you can take those and you can split out those ideas into additional ideas. And then you also have AI baked into the background where it'll help you figure out the type of title that you want. That'll help you out with the thumbnail that you want, the description that you want, even an outline. Yeah, it even provides outline. So inspiration would probably be the very first tool I'd say. The next tool you brought up was playlists, and I love talking about playlists. So Sylvia, you've been in the business for a while. You've done a few bundles and collections before, right?
Right.
Okay, so the cool thing is you've written a book. You published it and you fired it off. Great. Made some sales. Then you've done a few other books since, and then you take all of those same books and you put it into a collection. Now, in essence, you're able to double dip. People can buy the book either on its own or within the collection. The same thing applies to YouTube. Playlists are in the same capacity. It's like a collection, and it's also discoverable. So what it does is it indexes your video twice. So you fire it off once, YouTube's algorithms is going to index that, meaning it's going to store it inside their algorithms to be discoverable. And then if you were to put that into a playlist, it's going to make it even more discoverable. But this is where playlists get even more fun. I have an entire half chapter, I think, where I talk about playlists and how to utilize them. When you build that playlist, you're going to have, let's say, 2 videos or more. Typically, I see about half a dozen to a dozen within a playlist. What I will do is I'll go to that playlist and I will watch that video from within that playlist. Here's where it gets a little bit iffy. A lot of people get a little lost on this one. It's dead simple. Normally, what you'd do is you'd hit the share button and you just go ahead and clip that and share that out. So that way, when people go to watch your video, they'll click on that and visit it. But I'm going to get you to do this differently. You're going to take that big, ugly, nasty URL that's associated in the very top of your web browser when you view that video from within the playlist. It's big, it's long, it's ugly. Grab that. You can shorten that link, or if you just copy and paste it into a comment or your description, it'll be truncated by YouTube, meaning it's going to drop it off at a certain point with ellipses. So it'll be period, period, period. So it'll still be clickable. People will be able to still visit it. Now, here's the beauty of it. When you share that specific link everywhere, it's going to dump your viewers directly into that playlist. So when they're done watching that video, guess what happens? They're going to watch the next video. They're going to watch the next video. They're going to watch the next video. They can let it just sit there and they'll binge watch. It is one of the most effective ways to, first of all, get people to binge watch. And the next thing is also to build up recommended videos. Because if someone watches this particular video in a series and they watch the subsequent ones following it, YouTube's algorithms are going to go, you know what? I think we got to serve these other videos when someone watches this one video. And so it helps raise all the boats, and it gets it to where you're seeing a lot more results by dropping them into a playlist. I know it seems kind of silly, but here's the thing. Think about this, Sylvia. If you grab the share link, just the normal share link, it's going to drop somebody onto that video page. But it's not going to show all the other videos inside that series. And the recommended video, or the video that's going to autoplay after they're done watching yours, it's not up to you anymore. It's going to go over to what YouTube says. You know what? This viewer wants to watch this video about Shopify, or they want to watch this video about cats, or they want to watch this video about Sylvia Hubbard. You know what I mean? You're losing some of that control you would get by dropping them into the playlist, because then it's going to serve the videos of yours, and it's going to serve you so much better. And also, your audience is going to appreciate it, going, oh, they got more than one video, and it's part of a series? I'm going to go ahead and watch. This has been an effective method that I've used to monetize 3 channels so far. When I go and I share a video link, I get that big, nasty, ugly URL. And like I said, you can link shorten it if you want to. Like what's Bitly? Bitly is like one of them. You can do a link shortener on it. Or if you've got your own domain name, you can always put a subdomain or a subdirectory on it. But either way, that will help it out. But that's the one. I remember you're looking for tools. That's probably one of my favorite one. Last but not least, I would say your biggest tool, don't ignore this one, analytics. It's going to seem overwhelming. So what I would recommend is take some time to explore the tool and put together some questions. And then you're going to approach 2 different channels. One of them is called Creator Insider, and the other one's called YouTube Liaison. Those 2 channels are run by the team at YouTube, specifically by them. It's almost like if we had Amazon KDP having a YouTube channel, which they do, but they never really do anything to directly interact with their viewers. But YouTube does it right. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was trying to remember the Liaison channel. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Creator Insider and YouTube Liaison, that's going to probably help you out because sometimes they do break down those analytics. Other channels to take a look at, Roberto Blake, Nick Nemeth, looks kind of like he's related to me. Brian G. Johnson TV, as well as Daryl Eves. Those guys are all really fantastic. You can explore any of them over on YouTube and figure out what analytics are about. What I would recommend is take it with a grain of salt because everybody's got their own opinion. But when it comes to the YouTube channels, if they tell you something, it's fact. So that's why you never have to question what comes from those 2 channels because they're going to tell you exactly as it is.
That is amazing. And I can say I am a testament for the playlist thing because I think when we initially, our first talk together, you mentioned that. You mentioned, take the playlist link and then use that playlist link, not the regular link. And I started doing that because I wasn't getting views I was doing like educational videos. So I would see all these articles about something and someone would ask me about it. I'd go research it and then do a video on all these articles put together and give my take on it and what I knew about it. But I wasn't getting any views on it. And then I started doing that. And then it started like buffering into other people watching other videos, and people would say, "Oh, I spent all Saturday just listening to all these videos about you." And it was like, wow, that was like one of the best things like. Every time I think about you, I think about that tip that you gave me. Is like, that was one of the best tips to get people to start really watching, especially the videos, because I know they were long videos. And I was like, I know I wasn't getting any watch time because they're 30, 45 minutes. You're not going to sit there. But bam, they started watching those with that playlist link. And I was like, every time I see it, I'm like, yes. So finally, what is the future potential of YouTube for authors? Like, people who are not using it right now and just can't, or people who just can't really get into it and understand, okay, I'm going to do all this work and all this book told me how to do all this work. Why should I do this? And how is it going to help me in the future? And what do you see as your expert opinion of what is coming down the line that authors need to jump on YouTube now for, and could be missing out if they don't?
It's definitely not too late. It's never too late. There's going to be some folks out there that say it's saturated, but that's only because they don't have the skill set and know-how to actually make YouTube work. I've fully monetized 4 YouTube channels and I'm working on my 5th one. And it's just a simple process, and it's rinse and repeat. So I would just say that at this point, YouTube's going to continue to grow. They continue to be like the flag bearer and the gold standard of video content creation online today. Yeah, you're going to have your TikToks, and yeah, you're going to have your X and your Facebook and Instagram and things like that. But YouTube, guess what they've always been? They've been about video. They've been about video since the very beginning. So I foresee that this is going to be a platform that's going to continue, easy for me to say, continue to grow in the coming years. And those authors that adopt this into their author business now are going to win big over the next decade. Just watch, because your audience is going to mature and grow with you and come along with you and feel invested in you. I mean, I've been in this business now for 9.5 years, and I've had some people who have been following me since day one, which is incredible. And they've watched me mature. They've watched what I've learned. They've watched all the people I've connected with, the information I've shared over the years, and how I've grown. And I think that those folks that think about it in the long term, rather than going, how many books can I sell in the next week by doing a YouTube video? You're not going to make it very far if you have that mindset. But if you think of yourself like, I'm going to build a massive community over the next decade on YouTube with just a little bit of work every week, you're going to win big. Just focus on that long game, and it's going to pay off big time. And the last thing I would say is, the man who chases 2 rabbits gets none. If you want to make YouTube work, you got to make YouTube work. Don't focus on going on any other social media platform. Don't worry about X. Don't worry about Facebook. Don't worry about Pinterest. Don't worry about Instagram. Don't worry about any of those other ones. If you want YouTube to work, you got to focus on it. Make that your place, because it will pay off. Now, I can't make any type of guarantees, because I know that there's some people out there that, unfortunately, some people just aren't made for video. But I would say that by and large, most of the authors I've met, you're creative individuals. Tap into that creativity and share it with the world, because I think you're going to surprise yourself. You're going to build an amazing community on YouTube, and you'll thank me in years to come.
Well, I want to thank you for just taking this time to let me pick your brain. It's always been, every time I'm just blown away by this whole, just being able to go in there and see what you see and give that knowledge to people. So I appreciate you, and I think that everyone, and I say this for every book, everyone needs this book. But especially like if people are getting in front of the camera, I think that the layouts, the simple tips, the tricks that you have put inside this book is gold. Every chapter is gold. 5, 6, and 7 alone, just that's your whole, everything you wanted to know about YouTube, was afraid to ask, is just those chapters alone. So as I was reading it, I was literally like saying, okay, you need to, giving them the Amazon link. Okay, that question, just read this chapter. Okay, that question, just read this chapter. Because you answer a lot of the questions that authors have that they don't want to ask. And I appreciate you bringing this to life. It's deep appreciation, because this needed to be said. So thank you very much. And I think everyone, like I said, go out and get your book of YouTube for Authors right now and just start it. Come back to this video, ask your questions in the comments, and let's just pick his brain some more.